Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Burning Down the House with Jacob. That's me. So we are going to be learning today how to make chicken and dumplings, which is pretty common in the South. I think it's also somewhat common in the North, although I never saw it up there when I lived up there. But anyway, these are the ingredients for this. Now, first, you're going to need about 8, 10, maybe 12 cups of chicken broth. Basically, you need enough of it to go in your pan and to cover your chicken and the vegetables that you're going to saute first. You're also going to need celery, which will be diced up and about a cup's worth, maybe a little more if you want it. It's totally up to you. Mushrooms, and again we're going to be dicing those, and that will also be about a cup's worth. You need, of course, onions. Same thing, diced up, about a cup worth. And to round out our fresh veggies, we have carrots. And again, just like the rest of them, diced up or sliced up, however you like to do it. And you need about a cup's worth of those. But now what you will also need, you need baking powder. You'll need about 4 tablespoons of butter or margarine, depending on which you like to use. You will need, of course, all-purpose flour, about 2 cups worth for your dumplings, because we are going to make those from scratch. You're going to need about a cup of milk, I believe. Yeah, it's about a cup of milk, maybe about a cup and a half. And last but not least, you are going to need chicken. I usually go with about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. This is about 1 3/4 pounds, so this should do. I've already gotten started dicing the vegetables a little bit. The only one I had not done yet is the celery, and I will take care of that, and then we will pick it up from there, because that's where all the diced up vegetables will go into a skillet and we'll saute them for a couple of minutes. So we'll be right back when that's ready to go.
A few minutes later.
Hello everyone, and we are back and ready to continue here. The butter is melted in our skillet. You would just need to melt 2 tablespoons of butter or margarine on a medium heat, and that will get everything ready for the saute of the veggies. Okay, these are all the vegetables. I have got them all diced up. Just be careful and don't make a huge mess, because it's entirely possible to do that, and you really don't want to, because then you're going to have to clean everything, and no one likes to do that. Okay, got all that out of the way. Just need to do this. Keep everything moving, because otherwise your saute might burn a little bit, and you don't want that, because that's just really not going to make anything taste good. Okay, so we got our mushrooms and our onions and our carrots and our celery. And fairly shortly. We are going to measure the broth into our pot here, and we are going to add these sauteed veggies and our chicken to that broth, and we're going to get that boiling. Add a little bit of some extra stuff to it, like seasoning. And then after that, we are going to get started on our dumplings. Okay. Now, what you need, like I said, at least 8. I mean, my grandmother was wonderful. She could just take the stuff and she would make homemade broth out of chicken carcass too. I could just sit and just be in awe of that woman's skill. She was amazing. And 3 cups. Four cups. Okay, about 4 is all that's going to be in there. So then, we're going to grab another box. Whoops. And yeah, probably, I could probably just assume that the entire box is going to be 4 cups, but not going to assume that. There's 5. 6. 7. And that tiny little bit after cup number 8, we'll go ahead and throw in there. Because it's not like it's really going to do any good for anybody. Okay. Now then, the veggies that we just got finished sauteing are going to go in this pot right here, where we just put all this broth. And we'll get this out of the skillet. Okay. And we are going to turn this on high. Remember the chicken? Oh yes, that goes in too. Now you really don't have to do anything with the chicken right now at this point. I do like making little slits in the chicken breast, or chicken thighs, or you know, whatever kind of chicken that you want to get. Because if you make little slits in them, these will cook a lot better. Okay, now they're not going in just yet. Don't put them in until this starts to boil. That's why we have it on high right now. So then, as soon as this starts to boil, we can get our chicken in. We are going to put a lid on it, and we are going to let it simmer while we make the dumplings. And basically, you're just making slits in the chicken on both sides. Just flip it over, make a few more, and that's all you really need to do. But like I said, we are going to wait for this to start boiling, and once that does, we will throw our chicken in, and get started on the dumplings. Alrighty, we got everything boiling as you can see, so at this point we are adding our chicken. 1, 2, and 3. Very nice. And we are going to turn this down a bit because you don't want it going all crazy. And you are going to cover this with a lid. And you are going to let this simmer while you get everything ready for the dumplings, which we are going to make right now.
A few minutes later.
Hello everyone, and we are ready to get the dumplings going. Now, doing the dumplings, it really does not take all that long, and it is really not all that big of a deal. What you need is 2 cups of flour. And if no one ever taught you the correct way to do flour as a measurement, what you do is you do a scoop into the cup and you make sure that the top is, completely flat. Now the best way to do that is with a knife. You could scrape it off, or you can, if you are scooping straight out of a bag of flour, with a scoop, you could do it that way. That's the way that I just did it. So that can help you to understand how these measurements are really supposed to go. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, but you need them cold, and you need it 1 apiece, 1 at a time. Put 1 in. I mean, you're basically throwing them in at the same time, but basically you want them on opposite sides of the mix, because you're going to have to work these in with your hands, and you're going to have to get them spread out. And you can't do that if it's in one chunk. It'll take you forever. You will also need about a ½ teaspoon of baking powder. Now this is such a small measurement, it's difficult really to get it totally 100% exact. It's not going to matter if it's a little larger than ½ teaspoon. It's not going to make a big difference. Don't worry about it. And the other thing that you are going to need after you get the dough ready is you are going to need 1 cup of milk. And now it's not ready for that just yet, but I am going to get it ready and set it to the side, because once you get this dough done and ready for that milk, it's going to be kind of all over your hands, and you don't want to stop just to be able to measure out a cup of milk. Okay, so you want to get your butter a little, messed up, because it's going to mix with the flour and everything else. And you just want to work the butter and your flour and your baking powder all together. Just make sure that you get all of these all these little pieces of butter that are flaking off, you want to make sure that you keep them all mixed in with the flour. So before you're ready to put your milk in, your dough is going to look something like this before the milk. You're going to see that it's a little grainy with the butter being in there and mixed up, and basically it's just like, you know, a little bit of grainy flour right now. But as I said, we are going to add a cup of milk, and we are going to get this all mixed up. You just got to make sure that your dry flour that's clinging for dear life to the bottom of the bowl, you got to make sure that you get it mixed in with the wet dough. Okay. You remember how I said you don't want to stop and have to clean all this stuff off in order to add something like your cup of milk? This is why I'm about to show you. Because what I should have done before I got started was to put flour here on the cutting board so I could roll out these things. But no, I forgot. See, even us cooks, we forget sometimes. Not a big deal. Okay. Basically, you just kind of need a sprinkling of flour, just so that you'll be able to roll your dumplings out. Probably not quite this much flour, but hey. Now, back to our flour. You want to drop your dumpling mixture out like this. And see, because if you would have left it, you know, and didn't mix up the dry stuff that's at the bottom, it would just mix with this and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So then, basically, you want to flatten this out and work with the flour that's on the cutting board, because you need to. You want to get it to be, if you have a rolling pin, feel free to use a floured up roller pin, because it is so much easier than this method. And of course, I'm sure that there are some people out there going, what is that boy doing? Well, all I'm doing is basically flattening out the dumpling mixture. And this isn't all of it. There's a little tiny bit here. Well, not really tiny, it's about half that size. If you have a pizza cutter, this is a perfect time to grab it. If you don't have it handy, don't worry about it. You can use a knife. But if you have a good pizza cutter like we do, because here in this house, we eat a lot of pizza. All you need to do, you need to cut the dough in little squares, probably about half an inch to an inch wide. Probably not as big as an inch, but like about half an inch, maybe a little larger. And you want them squares because, yeah, hey, this is your dumplings. And we are going to be throwing these in with the chicken. So something like this. Let me get some things out of the way here. Some things like this. That is how your dumplings are going to look before you put them in the pot. Now then, of course, working with flour, of course, I wear it, but that's okay. Alrighty. Now then, as I said, you could also do this with a knife if you need to, but you know, you may not need to. Not a big deal. Back over here to our pot. All you have to do is take your dumplings, dumpling dough, and it doesn't matter if they've got flour on them or not, just drop them in, because that baking powder will help these pop up a bit. They won't get, you know, gigantically huge or anything, you know, unless you make them that big. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I have had a whole household fighting over the dumplings, and it's like, no, stop it. It's like, you people get all crazy. But I hope that you and your family enjoy these as much as mine does. And after I get these in, I will do the second batch. The rest of the dumplings. And then after that, we are going to let this continue cooking for a while. And then, well, at that point, we're probably going to be done. But after you do all of your dough for your dumplings and get it in the pot, then basically you're not really going to need to do anything, but your pot will have to go for about another half hour or so. After about half an hour, you're going to check it and check the chicken, make sure that the chicken is done, because the chicken should cook in the chicken broth and everything should be just fine. So what we're going to do is finish the dough, get the rest of the dumplings in there, and then half an hour later we'll be back and we'll say, hey, how are you? Okay, so we will be back. Hello everyone, and we have finally come to the end of our cooking time. I've been giving this a stir every now and then and keeping an eye on it. And the dumplings are perfect. And everything else is all nice and everything. Wait till you see this. This is just beautiful. You see? And this is the finished product. The dumplings are nice and moist and just a little puffy. And the chicken itself, it's all done. It's perfect color It's all juicy and the vegetables have just been wonderfully cooked in with everything else. So at this point, all you really need to do is add some salt and pepper to taste, or you can add any other kind of seasoning that you like. But in our house, or my grandmother's house, it was salt and pepper, and that was it. And my dear old granny, I miss her terribly. She told me one time that she was going to take her recipe to the grave. Now why, I don't know. I don't know what the big deal was, but that was my granny. And she did too. She passed away and I never got the full recipe. I got parts of it. She never told me how to make dumplings from scratch. I had to actually go and look that up. And once I did, I mean, are they as good as hers? No. They're pretty close though. I mean, usually I don't leave them this flat, but it's a lot easier when you're trying to make dinner for the family or whatever you're trying to at that point. It is a lot easier to do it that way, the way that I did it by rolling it out flat and then cutting it with a pizza cutter. That's easier than trying to roll them all up and throw them in, because you'll get less if you do it my way of rolling it up and throwing it in. But if you do it the rolling them out, the flattening them out to where they're 1/4 inch and using a pizza cutter to cut them like I did earlier, that will be just great. Unfortunately, Michael has already gone to bed because this took me a little longer to do, because I had to remember exactly how to do the dumplings, and that took a little bit. But unfortunately, Michael did have to go to bed. He does have to work like most other people in the world, and he's already asleep. So, even though it's only 9:30, so you will just have to take my word for it that this is an amazingly tasting dish. And please, if you have any questions, any comments, or anything that you would like to know, please leave it in the comments under the video. And if you make this, please, you know, put a comment under the video and tell me what you thought of it. Tell me how it turned out for you. And if I happen to leave anything out that you think should have been in there, leave me a comment, and you know, I'll get some thought on it, and then I will let you know just either why I would or why I wouldn't use your suggestion. But of course, I mean, like I always say, you're always free to use whatever, you know, that you feel like goes for your taste. So I hope you guys enjoy everything, and I thank you so much for watching my videos. And please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, you know, watch the videos, because this is episode 6, and the previous 5 videos I thought were really good. We may not do too many like episode 5, just the deviled eggs and the smooth potato salad. We may not do too many of those. I just wanted to give everyone, you know, a side dish or two, so that everyone would be a little more comfortable, you know, putting together a main dish and side dishes. I may do those again in the future. I may not. If you want to see more side dishes, please leave me a comment, and I will read that, and I will get you some here in a video. So I hope you guys enjoy the chicken and dumplings, and have a nice day. Oh, and don't burn down the house.